Aram, welcome. Glad to have you on.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. So give us like a short intro about yourself, bro.
I always liked hearing people's stories and getting inspired by people that have done more than me, greater than me. And I've always, liked connecting with people. So I thought, why not do podcasting? Why not learn from people? So that's how I discovered the Tipping Point podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you said it's been like 7 months, 8 months it's been out.
Right.
And you have a lot of episodes coming out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how do you even like find your guests? Is it like online DMs or it's just the people you know? How does it work?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways. I think when you just start, interview those that are closest to you. And then after I did that, I started just cold DMing or cold emailing. What I've learned is DMs is pretty clogged up. Everyone's DMs are clogged up. But if you email, less people email people. So I kind of just made my own template, emailed people, and then showed them some of my work, and it went from there. So.
Sounds good. So what's your background? Like, I know you're Armenian, but like, when did you come here? Were you born here? What's your story?
Right, yeah, I am Armenian, and I was born in Iran, in
Tehran?
No, yeah, Tehran, Iran. I was born there, and then I came to America. My family, we immigrated from America in the year 2000. So he came here in 2000. I was just a baby. I was a child, and we grew up here ever since. So it's been a blessing, coming to America, living here, and taking part in the American dream.
What have you learned about like being like an immigrant in America?
An immigrant, what have I learned? That you could truly make what you want happen for yourself, because so many other countries, wonderful countries too, there's just not enough opportunity for many different reasons. So me coming here, I just learned that you could really make things happen for yourself, because my parents and forefathers, grandparents, they didn't have that opportunity, but it's full of opportunity when you come here. So I thought, just come here, work very hard, and take advantage.
That's so true, man. Like, I feel like a lot of people nowadays complain about America. I know it has its limitations, it has its imperfections, but I genuinely believe this is like one of the best places to like live and like actually make a life for yourself and like grow in your career or whatever you're doing. And a lot of people who are actually born in America, they kind of take this country like for granted, they don't really appreciate it. Like you said, like you're from Iran, I was born in Iran too. I came here like in 2015, and it's like over there, my parents just came back from there, and it was like the life over there is like so different. Like people aren't really like, they don't have that many opportunities, especially if you're like, minorities. Like over here, it's like anybody can do whatever they want to do as long as they're, just put in the work. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think you came here, you were a little bit older. I was
14.
14. So was your experience different being like a teenager coming here rather than a baby?
Yeah, honestly, I felt like I didn't really have any friends when I came here. So I was just alone when I came here to the high school first day. I just like didn't know anybody. I was surprised that there's like 2,000, 3,000 students.
Right.
And I was like, in Iran, my class was like, my whole school was like 50, 60 people.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is like a huge difference. The language wasn't a huge barrier because I kind of knew English a little bit. I just had to kind of polish it. But slowly I was getting used to it. But I think what you said is like, whenever people just come here, as long as they put in the work, they're open to new opportunities, they can pretty much do anything they want.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Regarding your podcast, I remember you mentioned that you felt like you want to have an outlet for your creativity, and you wanted to kind of expand in that direction. So what's the main reason that you started your podcast?
Yeah, definitely. And I hope this isn't a long-winded answer, but to fully explain my thinking around it, I actually never saw myself as a creative person, and I kind of still question if I am. About 2.5, 3 years ago, my network of people that I knew really started expanding. And since my network of people I knew really started expanding, what I was learning from them and spending time with them, it was enriching my life a lot. So number one. And then number two, I've always had this internal understanding or drive that life is to be lived to its fullest degree. So me, when I live my life, and I never feel like I'm doing enough, which does hurt me in some ways, but I just wanted to really take advantage of an opportunity and do something I love to do, which is storytelling. I love storytelling, learning about other people and learning about, and just learning from people that are locally around me, because it's enriching.
What do you think is like the biggest benefit of like doing podcasts and having guests on,
Understanding, it's really opened up my mind to the scope of opportunity, and that the people that you're looking up to, not just you, anybody's looking up to, you really start humanizing other people, because they mess up way more than you think they do. They screw up way more. They have faults in their lives, but they still persist and get what they want. So if anything, it's just taught me the scope of opportunity that the world just is encapsulated in. So it brought me a whole new perspective on the world. It's truly a blessing, I would say.
Definitely. Do you think persistence is one of the key traits to like truly make it in any space that you're working at?
I think it's one of them, but I don't die on the hill of that. I truly think persistence does really get a lot of things done, way more things done than anyone would think, but it has to match up with what you're naturally inclined towards, what you're naturally good at. I've always liked having discussions, conversations with people. I've always thought like, man, this person probably thinks I'm annoying because I'm just keep carrying on the conversation. I love talking to other people, so that matched with my skills. However, if it didn't match with my skills, can persistence get me there? Maybe it can, but I'm not going to pretend and think I'm like, the best at what I do. No, I'm just a participant in it,
So you feel like as long as it's like an internal desire that you actually feel like you're good at it, you like it, then persistence is going to take you a long way.
Yeah, persistence will take you a long way if it aligns with what you think you're naturally inclined towards, because we all have natural inclinations. Whether you believe in God, it's given to you by God, or your environment or your genetics, whatever it is. I do think if you follow your inclinations, it can take you somewhere. And when you follow your inclinations and then you follow persistence, I know you're very persistent by talking to you, like, man, you put in a lot of work, very proud of you.
Appreciate it.
So when you follow your persistence and your inclination, it could take you very far, further than you think it could.
Well said. So do you feel like, kind of we got into like a deeper topic, so I was like, do you feel like people have like a certain purpose in life? Do you feel like it's like a natural inclination, or you feel like it's like you kind of go about it in life and you kind of somehow discover it, and then because you put in a lot of effort, you get good at it?
Yeah, very good question. So yes, I do think everyone has a purpose in life. I'm not here to judge how great or small their purpose is, because that's up to them and to their creator. For some people, their purpose is etched into their soul the day not the day they're born, but as soon as they gain consciousness of the world and they understand the world around them. Like I know someone, she told me she wanted to be an attorney since the 5th grade. And she just knew that at that young of an age. Now she's a grown adult now, very accomplished attorney. She knew that since she was a child. But like when I was 5 years old, not 5 years old, 5th grade, I was thinking about, SpongeBob, Star Wars, like, stuff like that. So for some people, it's burned into their soul. For some people, you have to live out life, suffer a little bit, go through trials, and then you'll figure it out. So
that's so true. Yeah, I feel like sometimes certain people, they're naturally, they know like, this is what I'm going to do. Like from day one, they're like, I'm going to go for it 100%. But then like personally for me, like I went to college, and then initially I was actually studying accounting. I was like, I'm going to do accounting.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I was like, am I really a numbers guy? I'm like, if I put in the work, I'm sure I can do it, but is it something that I see myself? So I was like, I want to do something creative. So I went to like the graphic design and animation and blah, blah, blah. And then at the same time I was making content. I'm like, wait, why am I even going to school for this? So I was like, I can't just do like the same creative stuff outside of it, because I feel like at school you were kind of restricted. It was very structural, like art. It was like limitations and certain ways of doing it. So it was kind of restrictive. But I feel like the reason I found out about it is because I went through it. If I didn't go through it, I wouldn't really know. I was just like, I would just be guessing. I wouldn't have no experience. I would just say, oh, because this person said this, I'm going to do this, you know, rather than actually experiencing it. So it's a great thing that you mentioned that people sometimes need to experience things. They need to go out of their comfort zone. They need to challenge themselves, go through different adversities in order to find that purpose. Or I feel like personally, there is this book. It's called The Way of the Superior Man.
Oh, David.
Yeah. He was saying like purpose is kind of like, has different layers. So sometimes you complete a certain purpose and then like different layers unlock. Like you're like, oh, like I did this, but then it doesn't mean this is meaningless. It's just something I have to go more in depth in it, or maybe I have to slightly pivot, just like you said, to like a different space or a different niche, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a wonderful book too.
Have you read it?
But I've read, so I read about a third of it, audiobook, and then I just stopped it, but I have to pick up on it. But yeah, it is a great book from what I read, and I was, found myself really taking in a lot of what David was saying, and it's a good book. So yeah, it's a good reminder. I have to go finish it. So,
do you remember any of the chapters?
No, because the thing is, I wasn't physically reading it. It was an audiobook.
Oh,
so I don't have like chapter, like the structure of it, because I'm more visual.
Mm-hmm.
But I was listening to it, so I can't remember a specific chapter that stood out to me. But what stood out to me more is, really leaning into your inclination and your energy, and from your energy extracting what it is you need and fulfilling what it is you want to do with your life, because it's very important. Mm-hmm. I do think if you don't fulfill what you want / need to do / what you're called to do, it'll kill you. So
100%.
Yeah.
Because there was this point he actually mentioned in that book. There's this chapter. It says, always live on your edge, or like it's something like that. It means like always don't go way above your comfort level, but just go a little bit above. That's like challenging for you, that you also feel like it's doable.
Right,
and that's how you grow.
Right.
You know?
I don't know if you're a fan of Jordan Peterson, but
yeah,
he says the same thing. Like, you don't need to do something that's so huge in the beginning. No, just do something very small. You could handle it and then just keep building from there. So yeah,
it's important to build that like trust with yourself, like in the initial steps, and then you can slowly
build it from there. Yeah.
So speaking of books, what's your favorite book that you read?
Favorite book? Right now, a book that I'm rereading. Actually, this one's an audio book too. I don't know if you're familiar with 50 Cent's, Curtis Jackson's real name, a rapper named 50 Cent's Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter.
No,
that's just his life and his spirit and his career, and just him coming up the rap game, just all that documented for you to understand. And just hearing him talk about it, it's kind of awesome, because it's 50 Cent. So,
what's something that you feel like he said that really resonated with you?
Something that he really said that resonated with me was understanding that him working a lot was truly a blessing to him. Because a lot of the times when people work a lot, they have a lot of complaints. But to him, those 18-hour days when he was on set, when he was rapping, when he was building up his producing career too, with Power and Stars and all that, those 18-hour work days were blessings to him, because that means he got to get up and have a shot at doing what he loves to do, which is being an artist. So taking the strain and the pain in his life and just manifesting that into being a hard worker, it just encompasses his whole book. I've listened to the book about 2-3 times, and what stuck out most to me is him not complaining that he has to work such long hours, because look at what he gains from it.
Definitely, yeah. He's like a really great artist and also a businessman.
Inspiration for sure.
For sure, 100%. So you mentioned that like you're doing podcasts and you have like different type of guests, right?
Right.
So what do you feel like after hearing all those guests? What do you feel like it's not a common problem, but something that people can definitely improve on, like for the general public, from the people that you met that they're really doing well,
What's something
that people improve, like the people who are like, let's just say the people that you met for your podcasts, they have like this certain trait, or they're doing things in a certain way that you think the general public can definitely take note from it and actually improve.
Great question. Definitely do not underestimate the amount of work and persistence and pain and everything it takes to get to where you want to be. Because some people, they conceptualize it in their minds, but they don't take it into their spirits. I think people need to take it into their spirits and souls more, that what you want, okay, you could get it, but this is what you want. You need to suffer and go through trials more than you think you do. You think you need to suffer for this much, but you really need to suffer for this much. Are you willing to suffer to get what you want? That's up to you. So,
have you had any guests that like you were like super like shocked by their story, and you felt like there was like a lot of value from their story?
Yeah, I actually do. I have one guest that pops up to my mind, and it's someone that I've known for a while. Laura Mirzoyan. She's the owner of Puppy Island Spa out in Glendale, and I think she's opened another location too. Just the amount of work she put in just to open up like a physical building it's like a puppy spa, dog grooming, dog boarding school. They have shampoos and everything. Just, you would think to the person, they just opened up a shop, it's no big deal. But the amount of work that she put in for years, just grinding and grinding and grinding, having enough money, saving it up, opening up a location, she's been able to do along with her husband, Armand Hakopian. It's amazing to see, because I know them as well. And when it's someone that makes it to that level and they're really succeeding, it's amazing to see. And one other person, I would definitely say Lillian Tomasian, entrepreneur and content creator. Me interviewing her, she's been in content creation and entrepreneurship. She got her master's too, like very, very smart woman. Very nice family too. I met them. The amount of work and the amount of years, like 15, 16 years she put into sowing the seeds of what she wants to do. And she started with literally nothing. And now she interviews people like Patrick Bet-David, Bedros Keuilian. She has a marketing agency, Tomasian marketing agency. Like, it's amazing what she's been able to build over 15, 16-year lifespan. So yeah, Lillian, Laura, those two, man, it's amazing. I love all my guests, but these two pop up in my head right now.
It's so dope, man. That's so dope. Like, it's like that you mentioned the Armenian creators especially. There is like a huge space for us to grow.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we have a lot of potential, and we do have like creators that they're doing well, like Patrick Bet-David. Bedros Keuilian, I don't think he's like that. Not that he doesn't really share like that he's Armenian. I mean, people know that he's Armenian, but he doesn't really speak about it that much. We need like more creators out there that are kind of pushing our culture more, kind of expanding us, giving us more eyeballs, Whether it's for educational purposes, entertainment purposes. I genuinely believe, I feel like whenever the culture is growing, there is like huge potential, like for example with collaborating with other people from different cultures, business opportunities, networking opportunities. So how do you feel like we can actually go about this?
Go about
like expanding our culture, having more creators, stuff like that.
Really understanding that this is for a greater purpose. Like, it's not only about the singular creator, it's about bringing awareness to a cause. And in this situation, you're asking me specifically, how can Armenian people expand more, bring more eyeballs to the culture? Because we're a very small minority. It's true, you're right.
100%.
So yeah, you're right about that, and we are a very small minority. But if the creator, like for example, you're not just focused on Arin and Torosian, because I've spoken to you quite a lot, especially these past 2 weeks. I don't think you're only about you. I think you have a greater purpose. So if people think like how Arin Torosian thinks, or other creators like Patrick Bet-David, they bring light to a cause. Patrick Bet-David always talks about the Armenian genocide, talks about serious issues there. So just keeping the bigger picture in mind. And that's not to say completely put away your own desires. Don't have your desires too, but understand that you could do two things. You could have your own desires, and you could also bring light to something very important to you, which is our Armenian diaspora identity. It's a very strong identity, and it would be a blessing for more of the world to know. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, that's a great point that you mentioned. Like, I feel like some people, like a lot of people, I would say they need to keep their individuality,
of course,
their own way of expressing themselves. But I feel like whenever we have like a collective goal, when we work as a team, like the opportunities, the potential is going to be limitless.
Yeah.
Like one of my previous podcasts, like you've probably seen the clip. I was talking to Samuel, and he's like a teacher in East Coast, and I was mentioning that like how the Jewish businesses and families, they really help each other out, and like money usually stays within the Jewish community and like kind of cycles around it for like 8 times until it leaves, and it kind of shows how much business and collaboration they do with one another. So I feel like Armenians should kind of strive to evolve into something like that, like to be working towards each other, working with each other for like a common goal. It doesn't have to be for every single thing. You don't have to like completely sacrifice yourself for like a community or something. But I'm saying like when everybody like contributes like 2%, 5%, that adds up,
Yeah. And as a group of people, we've struggled so much, especially with genocide recently, with Artsakh and everything, with Azerbaijanis taking the land. Like there's been so much suffering. So the thing is, when you see a lot of suffering, you can find a lot of strength too. So we're a very strong group of people, and I think if we put our heads to something, we could really get it done, especially with everything Armenians have contributed in the diaspora in the United States. We contributed so much. So I think so. I agree.
You mentioned like traits about like persistence in your previous points.
Right.
What are some other like traits that you feel like successful people that you talk to them, that they have in common?
Really leaving no stone unturned. You have to make sure you do everything you can to make sure. So you have to have that peace in yourself that you did everything you could. Try everything. And from there, if you fail repeatedly, I'm not saying give up, but you have to be malleable, If, for example, me with what I'm doing with media, if I'm doing it for a very long time and I'm still like, I don't want to put a number on it because I don't want to discourage anybody, but if I have no other signal or sign from the world, from God, from anything that I should keep going, then maybe you have to be a little bit malleable, but you have to make sure to leave no stone unturned. Like, for example, if I'm doing my podcast and I'm filming it on a very low res, like 320p camera for 6 years, well, okay, maybe try a 720p camera, then increase it, then try getting better. But if you really did everything you could for a very long time, and then you see it's not working out, if you feel comfortable in yourself, that's fine. But leave no stone unturned, really.
So you're just saying go all out. Like you cannot leave anything like in your mind, or like you have to be sure that it's like 110%.
Put 110% about it, but I want to be careful about one thing with saying go all out. Like, for example, I decided I'm still going to go to college, get my degree, get my corporate job, because that funds my bigger idea, So go all out, but understand that there's practical life and reality and bills, and I want to have a wife too. So like there's things too that you need to have the resources. You need to take care of other things too. But when it comes to what you're focused on, go all out. Really leave no stone unturned.
Sometimes you gotta use like different avenues to get to certain goals, right? Like you have to. I feel like whenever we have a goal in general, as long as we actually want to get to that goal, we may be in different situations, we may be in different locations, but I think if you really want it, like you can find a way to get there.
You really can. And it's interesting because any time that I was like just exhausted, I'm like, man, nothing's going right anymore. I don't know what it is, but when I'm truly just at the end of my line, and I'm just like, man, nothing's going right, I do get a flash of hope. Something good happens. Say, no, keep going. So it is a blessing. I really do think if you just focus on what it is you want and you really go at it like a maniac, of course, understand life is life, take care of your stuff, but if you really go at what you want like a maniac, sacrifice your sleep, sacrifice going out.
Yeah, I've never seen somebody that like truly gives everything and they don't really get what they want.
Yeah, and Dana White's taught me that.
Speaking of Dana White, you mentioned that like a couple people that you really look up to and you really admire their work. Who are those people besides Dana White? We're gonna touch on it later.
So besides Dana White, it would be, I said earlier, 50 Cent, and then Jordan Peterson. So those three, man, wow, they're amazing.
What's like something from all of those people that you mentioned that really you admire in them?
I think Jordan Peterson, there's so much about him that I admire, and he's so incredible. But if I could pick one thing, which is so hard to do, it would be the value that he says you have to live honestly, and the meaning of life is to bear as much responsibility as you can, because life is fundamentally, there is so much suffering in life just on a fundamental basis. You have to carry that suffering and burden, and you find that through meaning. And when you find meaning, you can carry your suffering. So that really speaks to me. And then with Dana White, just everything he's done, 24 years ago, building the UFC, hooking up with the Fertitta brothers, just listening to his story, and just him being a bellboy at 19 years old. He said, you know what, no, I'm going to be in the fight business. This is what I want to do. And just going through hell and back multiple times and making the UFC what it is. People were shunning the UFC, saying this is just a dogfight. This is not appropriate. This is not right. It's unethical. It's immoral. Now it's one of the biggest sports in the world.
And it's growing.
And it's growing fast. And the UFC is just an amazing organization. And it's not just a dogfight. There's order. There's rules. There's a way to it. It's not just do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And so the world caught up to his vision. What I would want to talk about more is 50 Cent, because he was in my top 3 people. Mm-hmm. So just everything learning about 50 Cent was that he did not box himself in as just a rapper, as just an artist, because he could have been swept very quickly. Because when he started getting big, we had CDs and MP3s. There was a CD era, and then we had the MP3s, the iPods that could have flushed them out very quickly. But he always adapted to his circumstances, and he's always evolved into not just being an artist. He's a director, a producer now, a very, very smart businessman, investing in his deal in vitamin water. I think he made $500 million. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but just him as a business person, incredible. He's not just an artist. I really think, one thing about his book, you asked me what I like, 50 Cent is kind of this persona he puts on, but the cunning genius is Curtis Jackson. So, yeah, Curtis Jackson is just insane, and 50 Cent's just a lot of fun and a very talented guy. So
100%. Yeah, like that's something you mentioned, is that like his adaptability. He was able to do different things, different times, different eras. He was able to maybe go from the music aspect to the movie aspect to the business aspect.
Right.
And I think being able to be versatile enough to do that, that's gonna carry you like very, very well, like in the long run. Mm-hmm. But also, I believe there is like a beauty in just excelling in the one thing only.
Of course,
like only one thing. Like, like athletes, they're like just this one thing day in, day out, like 10, 12 hours a day, just training, practicing. Mm-hmm. I think we need both type of people. We need some people that are like versatile. They do like different things in different areas. And we need some people that are excelling, because I feel like we can both learn things from, both sides,
Yeah, you need that singular energy. It's very important. Mm-hmm. And it's great you bring that. It's a very smart thing to say. Just want to add that 50 Cent, he was dominating the charts for years, and then he branched out. So he was at the top of his game. He branched out. So I definitely think that's a great statement that you make. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind me asking, what's a long-term or one of the long-term goals that you have for your podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. Long-term, I would love to interview, like I keep saying it, a lot of admiration from people that really, inspired me. Dana White, Jordan Peterson, 50 Cent. I would love to interview those 3 people. I want to interview a lot of people, but those 3, I just really want to interview them. Other than that, I want to grow this brand and help as many people as I can, because if one girl 20 years old is conflicted, thinking, oh my God, I'm not smart enough to go to law school. Oh my God, I'm not smart enough to do this or that, or they're confused, they're lost, and they watch one episode with an interview I did with a successful attorney, and they say, you know what, I felt those emotions you felt, but I did it anywhere, like where I am. If that one girl in Montana or Mississippi or another country even sparks that in her head and she does it, that's all I ask for. So I just want to give back to other people because I want to help people. Of course, I have my own things that I want to do, but I would love to help people too. If I could inspire one girl, because people have inspired me growing up, if I could inspire one girl to, go ahead and be an attorney or go ahead and do whatever she wants to do, girl, guy, whoever it is, if I could do that, then honestly, I can't. Like, what else could you ask for? Nothing.
Yeah, like I mentioned, you said a lot like about like helping people. You're really passionate about it, and I feel like at the end of the day, like at some point, like there is only so much things that you can do for yourself. There's only so much pleasure that you can get for your own self. I feel like after a certain point, you kind of start getting interested in helping other people. Mm-hmm. The joy that you get from seeing someone else achieving their goals, that's like truly, truly priceless. I think content, like making content, is like a great tool to actually do that because it's like a double-edged sword. We can use it kind of to maybe consume the wrong content or maybe even produce the wrong content. Right. But also there is another way we can maybe even consume not necessarily the correct content, but like positive content that maybe gives us good feelings or good information, mm-hmm. and also maybe create certain content like that that's going to actually push people to get better and give them, like good feelings,
Yeah, and sometimes I think those content creators, they think, because I've even been guilty of it, like, man, who cares what I have? Like, no one's going to care, but no, you'd be surprised. There's content that other people have made that I listen to their content and it gets me through, I'm not joking, like the year, 2 years, 3 years of difficulty struggling. So believe me, the content you're making, don't think it's falling on deaf ears. Yeah, maybe it is for some time, but don't think it's going to be like that forever. If you truly put in the work. If you 100%. Have to put in the work, though. Yeah.
And I think like the thing is that you mentioned is that they always stay there, So if you make like a good video, or a positive video, it may get like barely any views right now, but then later on it's going to generate you a lot of way more eyeballs, and actually people over time they're going to find out about it. Like for example, I've seen videos from Patrick Bet-David like in 2015, 2016, 2013, right? And then when he posted those videos, it was like the channel was kind of small, barely any viewers, maybe 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. But then 10 years goes by, 15 years goes by, it's like so many more people viewed that video, and it's like so many people were impacted by that video, So I feel like the beauty in content like is that they always stay there.
Yeah. You did ask me, because this is going to connect, you did ask me some time ago, what's one thing people really have to focus on besides being persistent? One thing that even I'm trying my better to be at, because I'm not that good at it, truly value patience. Truly do. And I'm very bad at it, and I need to take my own advice. But when you're saying, like you said, Patrick Bet-David makes a video in 2013, okay, 11 years later it pays off. 11 years is a long time. Truly, if you are patient and you just aggressively push the button, it's going to go further and further. So really, patience does work. And I know it might be a cliche, but I think people just need to always have that relaying in their head,
No, that's true, man. I would say the basics are some of the things that a lot of us ignore, But I think they do like have you heard about the 80-20 rule?
Yes.
Like 20% of the actions, they give you the 80% of the results. I would say the basics are some of those things, like the main principles, like patience, being persistent, showing up daily, being able to adapt in different situations, and not necessarily sacrifice your goal, but maybe go to through a different avenue to get there, And I think those things play like a huge role in the long term. And like even Mr. Beast, he barely got any views in the first 5-6 years, and then suddenly just went up.
Even he said like your first 100 videos are gonna suck. That's it. Like he's like, period, get over it. If Mr. Beast can say that, trust him, because he's the biggest creator ever, with subscribers and just everything. So yeah, you're completely right. He started from nothing and now he's Mr. Beast. So yeah, I agree with you, Arin.
Do you think the industry is going to keep growing, or you think there's eventually it's going to kind of stop? Because like a lot of viewers from TV, like the net, the regular news stations, and normal channels, TV channels, they're all going to like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, you know, even for searching, because a lot of people are going on like social media to like search. They don't even necessarily go on Google. They go like TikTok it, you know, it's like a new term, TikTok it, or you know, YouTube it, stuff like that.
Right. So yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, that's very good questions, by the way, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. For YouTube, I really don't think in the next 10 years it's going to go anywhere. I don't know. It's kind of just a gut feeling. I don't think YouTube will go anywhere. However, Instagram, Snapchat is still out there, so I don't know about Snapchat, but Instagram, TikTok, these other platforms, it could be that it's still there. I don't know, but these platforms that are not YouTube, it could be that it's replaced by, you know, the next big thing, like the next Facebook, the next Instagram. It could be that those platforms are replaced, and then you just have to get used to those platforms and feed that audience. So I think some of them will be replaced. I just don't know exactly which one it would be. And Gary Vee talks about it a lot. He's just like, look, don't ride your coattails on Instagram only. Don't only ride it on LinkedIn or whatever. Always be ready for the next change. But I don't know, it's just a feeling I have, and Mr. Beast has talked about it a lot too, that I really don't think YouTube's going anywhere for a while.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. But the other ones, maybe it will. Maybe it won't, maybe it will.
What do you think about X, Twitter?
X? What about it?
What do you think about it? Do you think it has like, because, you know, Elon Musk, he owns it.
Yeah.
So I do actually like a lot of changes he made, because I remember back in the days, there was a lot of inefficiency on like operating the company, but like he came like with a business mind. It was like less people, more skilled people. He kind of cut down the people, and they were actually performing way better.
Yeah.
And personally, besides the name, they kind of changed it. Everything else, I'm pretty happy like with the way they are like, you know, open with like different people from different ideas. Because there was a lot of like, you know, banning and, you know, censoring people on Twitter. So I feel like a lot of platforms, they need to kind of be open to different ideas and perspectives, because I feel like a lot of things are getting shut down, but I think it's good that we have an Elon Musk, just, you know, opening up that free speech.
Yeah, so my opinion on free speech, as long as you're not openly calling anyone to violence, like an example, you know, there's, you know, this movie theater, go commit a violent act at that movie theater. I'm not even going to say an example, because I'm not even going to put that out there, you know, like I don't want to put that energy out there, but as long as it's not an open act of, you know, horrendous violence or just really horrendous, egregious things, do you have free speech? Yes. So then some people will think, well, yeah, but there's people with disgusting opinions. They're you know, they think, you know, women and men aren't equal. They think one race is better than the other race. But you need to let those people tell on themselves, because when you let those people tell on themselves, then you figure out, okay, this is someone with a sinister agenda. This is someone that does not have a sinister agenda. So just let people talk, let people tell themselves. Then you're going to understand who's someone you want to work with, who's someone you want to stay away with. So that's fine. Free speech is not a problem, as long as, like I said, it's not an open call to violence. That is literally illegal, and you will be imprisoned for that.
No, I totally agree. Agree. It's important to make sure like there is no like acts of violence or whatever promoted. But I think anything else, as long as you know, I think everybody should be open to say whatever they want. Some people have extreme ideas. Some people have extreme crazy takes. But I think in the long term, it's good to have different sides. It's not even two sides. There's like so many sides to certain topics.
There's so many sides to everything.
So I think we cannot just put like certain topics in like a black and white order. I think there's like so many different people with different perspectives, different stories, different backgrounds. Like we are from like, you know, we are born in Iran. We have a different perspective. Some people may be born in Brazil or something.
They have a different, exactly.
And I think the fact that we have access to technology like this, that we can communicate our thoughts and ideas through like a screen, I think that's in the long term, we can definitely benefit a lot, you know? Because I feel like I learned a lot from social media. Now I'm sure you did it too, you know?
I've learned a lot from social media. Your channel, I know you're doing the 75 hard. It's super inspiring. I love it. So I've learned a lot from other creators, and like persistence, for example. Going back on persistence, when I saw your channel, and I really mean it, I see like so many videos out, and just my years of hard work that I've accumulated. So like you're a great example of persistence, and me just looking at that downloads back into me and like, okay, I need to live to what I'm believing in, what I'm preaching. I have to practice what I preach, because if Arin could do it, I could do it too, you know.
Absolutely. I kind of feel like I took the persistence and showing up. It's like a concept that I really like am big at, and also adaptability.
Sure.
Like even with the gym, like when I started, I wasn't really making that much progress. Like I've been training for 6 years, and it's like after 3 years, 4 years, I was like, oh, like I feel like I was making progress, but I wasn't really feeling that. It was that noticeable, you know. But I feel like now it's like getting like, okay, like I put in like a lot of work. It's like kind of normal to get results like this. You know? I feel like it's the same with content. It's probably the same with anything. Like if you're like a musician, you want to start playing guitar. The first year you're gonna feel like a lot of newbie gains, and then you're gonna feel like it's kind of slow, and then eventually it's like slow build, you know, like it's slow growth. And I feel like a lot of the things have this like J curve. I heard it's called the J curve of success. It's like they just start slowly go up and just goes up. It's never linear. That's what I noticed.
No, it's never linear.
Never linear.
No. If success was a linear aspect, I wouldn't even get out of bed in the morning, because what's the point? Because you have, you know, because when on your journey to success or whatever you want to get, of course you're gonna have downfalls. So if success is only linear, if you have a downfall, then that linear progression died and it's over. So what's the point? So no, it's never linear. It's like all over the place, you know.
Yeah. You know, like sometimes you may be on a certain trajectory, and then you meet this one person, and then it's like everything changes. Even Patrick Bet-David, there was this story was saying that there was this person that he knew that his son was in jail, and nobody was going to see him, and then he went to see him, and then he was like super happy, and then later on when he got out, like because he did that, he was given like a lot of like networking opportunities and a lot of business opportunities.
Yeah.
And it's like these small things over time, like that one sentence that you may say to somebody, or that one action that you do for somebody, like years later on can actually give you a lot of benefits. And it's not to say like, oh, do only things to get certain things out of people.
Of course.
But over time, those positive actions that you do, it builds up.
Of course, yeah, definitely. I think you just have to look. If you don't see the fruits of your labor now, don't think it's not going to come 3, 4, 5, 6 years later. You just have to wait it out.
The last thing I want to touch upon, like I always ask every single guest, is that what's like a quote / principle that you like really, really believe?
A principle?
And you stand by, like, you know, for life. Every time like shit gets like, you know, really, really bad, you're like, you remember that.
Yeah. It is a principle, but it's in a form of a quote, and I could recite it to you as best as I can.
Absolutely.
If you don't mind that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Mark Cuban, I actually have this written on my desk at work. I look at it every day, I read it. So it says, I'm paraphrasing, it's a long quote. You only have to be right one time. You don't have to have it all figured out. You could have the wrong job, the wrong career. You could be married to the wrong person, the wrong spouse, whatever. But if you get it right one time, you're set. So you only need to be right one time. That's it. Life is not you need to get it right all the time. No, be right once. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, I think that applies to pretty much everything. Like with let's just say basketball players, they don't make all the shots. With content, again, like some videos, one of the reasons I try to keep the volume up is that it's like, if I get it this one video, it's like it gives me a lot of boost, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like darts, you're throwing darts, and like if one of them lands in the middle, it's like you're good to go, you know? Like that gives you like extra momentum.
The more you throw those darts, you take those shots, you're sharpening your blade.
There we go.
To hit it in the bullseye, to slay the dragon, to get to the next level in your heart, in your soul, in your community, and everything. And it just elevates you to be a greater man. So it's great on all fronts, you know.
That's like a really good quote that you mentioned. Like, I definitely have to remember that.
One last one is, the angel of death sits on every word. Jordan Peterson said that in his interview with the MIT, what's his name? The one that always wears a suit. I can't remember his name. Lex Fridman.
Oh, yeah.
The angel of death sits on every word. You have time, but you're not going to be on earth forever. Make sure to do everything you can.
Definitely, yeah. Time is not like infinite, you know?
No, it's not. It's finite. Very finite.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's like a perfect way to wrap it up. I think the viewers going to get a lot of good value from the last squad and all the other topics that we covered. So, Mr. Aram, it was a pleasure to have you on.
Man.
Thanks for coming on.
Of course, man. Thank you.
You have any final words where people can find your content?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, the Tipping Point Podcast. I just want to say I love what you do. I see your hard work, persistence. And I know I'm going to look at you one day and you're going to be a very big creator. I'm like, I knew you could do it. So
I appreciate it, man. Like, I'm excited to see your growth too, because I know you got a lot of podcasts coming, a lot of cool guests. So I can't wait to see them released and like actually let people enjoy it, you know?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thanks again.